kind of going back to last month, we had a date scheduled to go out in the field. It was, I think, 2 weeks ago or so. I got a call from Mr. Bond that said that the person that we'd be dealing with, her daughter was going in the hospital and needed to delay it about 10 days. Talked to him, and he's going to be out the 18th and the 19th out of town. He's also going to the healthcare convention in Orlando the following week. So we have set the time to start the field work of March 3rd to go out to his offices. We have already gone out and spent the day with him one time just to get a feel for the operation and to see it and talk with him. But we were scheduled to go out March 3rd to do the procedure. And I again want to remind you on the agenda, it's called an audit. We are not doing an audit. We're doing agreed upon procedures. And so just want to make that real clear. Is there any questions? I'm sorry I don't have anything more to report for you.
I have some discussion of it, and I don't know whether it's to you or to the board. I was happy to see that it was called an audit, but on the agenda, but apparently that's not what is going on here.
That is not. I would like
I
to make
don't
that
know why
clear.
in the world we would put on the agenda an audit. I mean, I was happy about that, but now apparently that's not the fact. Okay, here's what I want to do. In October, we got this report, or this right here. Everybody got one of these in October. And what it is a Continuum Labs year-end review. Okay? And what it happened here was, we was proffered 3 things in order to give them $1 million, right at $1 million. I don't think you were there.
I wasn't there.
Okay. Let's see. Where's the proffer? Okay, the three offers of the 3 things this board was to consider says order complete audit. The second one, order complete audit. The third one says order complete audit of previously distributed grant monies. So the 3 things that we were to choose one of them to do, according to the staff, was there had to be an audit done in order to give them this $900 and something thousand. Okay, so the minutes of the meeting, I'm gonna read from the minutes of the meeting. And here's what happened in order to give them this $900 and something thousand. It says, Gene Davis made a motion and was seconded by Doug Jensen to extend the contract by 3 months, approving the current draw request, funding the remaining balance of $7.25 million over the ensuing next 2 months, conduct an audit of the full $7.25 million. Motion passed. So this has already been settled by vote of this board, that we're going to do an audit, not a procedures, from the October 2013 meeting. Now, you know, that was voted on. Gene made the motion, Doug seconded it. It was voted on and it passed. So we're just going to throw that aside?
Do you want me to address it?
Well, absolutely.
We have in ensuing conversations discussed the semantics of what an audit means in this context. And Mr. Carter or Tricia, one in previous meetings, has stated that technically what we believe to be an audit is really not an audit relative to accounting terminology. It is an agreed to procedure. We are trying to develop an agreed to procedure that will provide sufficient detail relative to any questions that may be asked by you, other members of the board, or the public. This is the process that we're in. The issue before us today with Mr. Carter is to give you a status update on where they are with the agreed to procedures, or audit if you prefer to refer to it that way. And he cannot really speak to the detail and intensity of the audit of whether it's 25, 50, 75, or 100% until they continue assessing the quantity of accounts that are available in the business. You're shaking your head, no, I'm doing, what would you like from this point?
Well, I'd like for Gene and Doug to tell me if they understood what they put up there was an audit or procedures. I mean, I took it that it was an audit. Nothing was said in the meeting that I got about procedures. I'd like to ask our attorney, was it procedures we were talking about, or was it an audit we were talking about? And what is, can we change the meaning when we decide to change the meaning?
You're now asking me, Donald, to tell you what y'all thought as you discussed it. I can answer questions, but that's not one I can answer. I mean, I don't know what to say to that. That is, I will say that I would concur with Mr. Lambert's statement that the discussions that have ensued since then would lead one to logically conclude that nobody on this board understood what an audit was in the sense of how that term is defined by accounting standards, but that I think the intent was that there be an analysis of how the funds were spent. That's what I believe the intent was, because myself included did not know the difference between an audit and an agreed upon procedure until these discussions came about after the fact. So I think you have to ask the board members what they thought as they were discussing it. I know
Well,
what I thought.
that's what I'm doing. I mean, I guess maybe I'm the only one in here that thought that we were gonna have an audit, that everybody knew that the word audit meant agreed on procedure.
I need to fill in something on this. For that meeting that you're referring to, the Friday before the meeting, I got contacted by Christy Sherling, and she asked me to meet with Travis Bond, Jamie Grant, and myself on Monday, the day before the meeting. In other words, there was a pre-meeting arranged with the Congressman and Travis Bond. My schedule was set for Monday at 10 a.m. We met, we had a very nice meeting, and we agreed that for our own protection against unwarranted accusations or unsubstantiated accusations, that we needed to record the meeting in its entirety. During that meeting, I promised that I would give Jamie Grant and Travis Bond an exact copy of the meeting. I made that exact copy and I provided it and gave it to Travis Bond. 2 copies, one for the congressman, one for himself. The following people were interviewed: Hernandez, Prescott, Jensen, Samuels, Davis, and Melody. Others that couldn't make it. Melody. Am I pronouncing that correctly? How do you pronounce it? Melendi? Melendi. Thank you very much. During that meeting at 10 o'clock, we went. When I say we went, all 3 of us agreed that continuous vetting is proper, and any kind of production coming out of the program should be continuously vetted. And once again, for our own protection, we recorded it because we anticipated what was going to come. The following day, Mr. Jamie Grant did not come to the meeting as he implied he would come to the meeting and answer questions. But you can hear it all. This is the most exact record of my interview, and it's sunshine proof. I brought copies for every member here so that they can fill themselves in with regard to that. bottom line is, when it came to the actual meeting, Mr. C accused me of violating the Sunshine Law. Without any reason, and I don't know what caused him to do it.
I asked our attorney the question. What was his thoughts on that?
Thank you.
He said if it
He
was me,
agreed
I
with
would not.
He agreed with you
So
totally.
don't say I said that.
No, you brought it up, because you asked for a special statement from the then made sheriff. And you came out and you brought that up. Subsequently, the attorney agreed with you. And Travis Bond did not give Jamie Grant his copy that I committed to based on your statement and on Evers's concurrence. I'm
The
in agreement.
legislatures don't operate under sunshine. So why would he even be brought up, had to do with the statement that I made, that Mr. Bond didn't give Jamie Grant a copy? It had nothing to do with sunshine law. Nothing.
What are you talking about?
Gentlemen,
Exactly what you're talking about.
Which
gentlemen,
is,
this discussion does not seem to be relevant
it's relevant
to
because
the
it was a meeting,
Excuse me, Horst.
no,
Horst.
I'm not done speaking.
This is
I
not
am referring
relevant.
to Don's question, and
If
it
it is
needed to be
relevant
filled
to
in.
the Continuum Labs audit, otherwise we are not going to get into issues that we have debated over and over. Don,
Can-
back to
can I-
your,
Can I now that this is a sunshine complaint, can I hand these out to each member so that they can be informed?
I don't know what you're referring to, that being involved in the sunshine
I'm
complaint.
talking about my meeting with Jamie Grant and Travis Bond, in which we all agreed that this should be handed out to the public.
The issue is that if you hand that out to all of the members, that's fine. But the public still doesn't have access.
Oh, I have
to-
enough for the public and the news media.
Mr. Lambert, let me jump in here. I don't think it's fine to hand them out. Horst, my opinion hasn't changed. If you hand those discs out to each board member, and they take it home and play it privately in the privacy of their own homes, what they're hearing is your discussion with Travis Bond and James Grant about issues that may come before this board. In my opinion, that's not proper.
In
Nor is
other
it
words, I
legal.
can't make a statement
The
only
only-
at this meeting because it may come up.
You're in
My
a meeting.
question is, no, I want to hear what Travis Bond and Jamie Grant and Gene Davis talked about. And that is not
Madam Chair,
available.
the only way, in my opinion, to do that legally is if it were played in the meeting that's open, advertised, public, this meeting or one like it. I don't believe it is appropriate to hand out the discs and have the board members take them home and listen to them privately. I would advise strongly against that.
Thank you. Back to your concerns, Donald. Do you recall in the December meeting that we had this whole debate about an audit versus agreed upon procedures? You and Horst made motions regarding audits. We already had the entire debate since the October meeting that you referenced, and we were all in agreement as to what our understanding moving forward would be.
Okay, so what you're saying is that this board voted to do an audit, but that's thrown out the window. That motion passed, so we just ignore it,
That motion passed in October.
right, and we
We
just ignore it.
debated, no, we took up the debate on the issue in December. We didn't ignore anything. We debated fully the issue with Mike Carter present, with him advising us, with Ken advising us. We already had this whole entire debate in December, and we made a decision on it. Do you support the decisions made of this board?
Well, sometimes, no, not all the time, but I accept them once the board decides.
I don't
But-
think you do, because you repeatedly bring up
Well-
issues that we've made decisions
well-
on and want to rehash
Well,
them
Vanessa,
consistently.
I'm trying to stay calm and cool here, but I know you don't like my questions, and I try to have good, honest questions.
Donald, I don't mind your questions.
Yes, you
I
do.
mind rehashing the same issues and wasting time every meeting, every month to rehash things that we've already gone over. And I
No,
feel like it's an
no.
opportunity for you and others to just grandstand about issues that no one else feels like are issues. That's
How
what
do
I
you know?
feel is
Nobody
happening.
says anything. How do you know?
Well, they're not supporting your motion in December. You didn't have support to pass your motion.
I think they forgot about this. I think they forgot this was done. And look, let me ask you something. If this board is going to agree to an audit in order to give them $1 million, then after the $1 million is gone, spent and gone, then they're gonna change their mind and say, we're not gonna do an audit because we don't know where the money went. We don't wanna know where the money went. No, this board's gonna, we can't keep doing this. We have a motion to pass on something, and then at a later date go back and change it because we don't want to know where the money went?
I can say regardless, because I was one of the ones who seconded Gene's
Right.
motion. I was the one who seconded Gene's motion. The procedures that are being discussed are consistent with what I had hoped would happen when we used the word audit. Even though we incorrectly used the word audit, what is going to happen is consistent with what I expected to have happen as a result of that motion. Gene, I don't know if you can say the same thing, but that's what I feel.
I feel like as long as we get the information that Mr. Carter seems is going to get us, I don't care what you call it. You can call it a water bottle. I don't care, as long as we get the information. The technology and the terms, I don't care, as long as we get what we asked for, and undoubtedly, I think we're going to.
Is it permissible to ask Mr. Davis to explain why he made the motion to give the whole $900,000
No, it
without
is not.
strings? It's not permissible
No.
for me to ask that.
We are discussing the audit of Continuum Labs.
You know,
And
I am
his
really
motion-
slow.
His motion is not relevant to the audit of Continuum Labs, and we're going to
Thank
stay
you.
on the subject.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from board members? I don't think that you were looking for us to take action on anything today, is that correct?
No, unfortunately, it did have to get rescheduled, and we will start field work on March 3rd, so that's the status update I had.
Henceforth, we will refer to these as agreed upon procedures. And I apologize that the word audit made its way on the agenda, even though it is in accordance with the motion. But I do believe that ensuing conversations has made it clear that we are going to do what we're doing under an agreed upon procedures. As to Mr. Bond, I had known as of last week that he would not be available today. I did not want to reschedule this meeting. We will afford an opportunity for additional presentation. But he is making a presentation today, a very important presentation. I have been very excited about the opportunities that they have in front of themselves, and I really anticipate each of you to be excited as we continue to move forward. So that's really all I have to say at that point. I did not really feel like we should cancel this meeting because Mr. Bond had a scheduling conflict, and I will take the blame for that. So that's where we stand in that issue.
Okay, thank you, Mike. We'll move forward with, Bill is going to share with us information about contracting for payroll service.
This is it's a simple issue, but it could become more complex as we move forward. I would simply like an opportunity to contract for payroll services. In essence, what that means is that we would begin using a payroll contracting service for our office. The main reason that I want to do that, well, there's two reasons I want to do this, but the first is that as we move into various types of employment with the incubator, I think it's going to be far more expeditious from a management standpoint for us to be able to utilize a payroll service. Secondly, the payroll service will open up opportunities for us as a very small group to look at providing insurance packages both for our staff and any hires that may come forward in the incubator. We have determined so far that it is almost impossible for us to have a small group policy, but payroll services do afford us that type of opportunity. I am not proposing that we add any type of insurance to our employment packages today, but as we move forward, it will be an option, and there will be a separate presentation to the board related to that issue. The payroll services cost at this point, as best I can determine, are a relatively minor budgetary impact. They include workers' comp in their payroll services. Our current workers' comp policy, if memory serves me, is about $1,200 a year. We also pay Robin Weeks to do the 941s for the EDC and all of the payroll taxes. Those cost, while I've never segregated them out, probably would total another $300 to $400 a year. So the actual cost we're paying for workers' comp and preparation of just payroll reports today is around $1,600 to $1,700 a year. Payroll services for the 4 persons in our office will run approximately $2,000 and $2,100 roughly. So there's a small budgetary increase, but it does afford us a much better circumstances for operating the office. Simply asking you for permission to pursue that.
Madam Chair, may I ask a question?
Certainly.
Won't you become a employee of the payroll service and not this board when you do that?
You can contract payroll services just to manage your payroll and not to actually provide, they're not the intermediary, so to speak, they just provide the payroll services.
Okay, well, I always thought that if it's Labor Solutions, you become an employee of Labor Solutions.
It's not a leasing company, it's like ADP, it's contracting service.
Oh, I'm not against this, I'm
But
just
yeah, the
more,
bank is on ADP.
you know, and I hate to ask the question, I mean, I get the ire of the chair, I don't like to do that. Scorn of a woman, you know, is terrible.
I welcome your questions, Donald.
Apparently you don't.
Any
Okay,
other
that's all.
questions from board members?
I think it's a
Chris,
good
do you have anything
idea.
to add?
Just a comment.
I have the 3 companies I contacted and what they are available.
We have additional information if you need.
Doug?
I was gonna say, we do the same thing, we use ADP, like Fletcher State Bank, and it's very helpful to us, because it just removes that headache, so I think it's a good idea. I would kind of like to know an estimate on the cost, but otherwise, I'm in favor of it.
Are you going to be bringing back,
We do not, the cost through ADP is $2,080.
Per pay period, it's, if you include workers' comp, it's $80 per pay period.
And we have 26 a year, so it'd be 26 times 80, which is $2,080 a year. And we're at 1,600 or 1,700 now without it, so it's a minor budgetary impact.
I'll make a motion to proceed with that.
we have a motion by Doug, do we have a second?
Second.
Well, which one are we gonna use?
We don't know, there are 3 and we are negotiating with them. It actually is
Well, what's the motion? That's all I need to know.
we are seeking your permission to begin utilizing payroll services.
I know, but which one?
The motion will be to use the one that they deem is most appropriate.
Okay, I'm fine with that. I just like to be clarified.
Sarah?
Good.
Yeah, just to clarify for you, Christy has done the majority of this work, so I don't really want to steal her thunder, but she has contacted already 3 different companies. She does have all of the costs associated with those companies, but I think today, we just need permission to go ahead and move forward to negotiate with those companies and find the best one that works for us.
That's good.
Who was the
I
second?
can tell you from a service standpoint,
Mike
ADP
Prescott.
does a fantastic job.
ADP is one of the companies, and I know from talking to Christy that that would be her prime choice of the ones she's dealt with.
We've used a number of them, and ADP is by far and above, out of the ones we've used, the superior choice.
Yes, I would agree. In our research so far, they seem to be the best ones.
Any other questions or comments from board members? We have a motion by Doug, seconded by Mike. Do we have any public comment? Henry?
Henry Coleman, Fort Greene. Did you say that this payroll service would include an insurance, workman's compensation insurance as part of the cost? Ms. Weiner?
Yes, that is my understanding.
I don't know. $80 every 2 weeks for, right now, 4 employees. Is that an accurate premium for a workman's compensation insurance?
I think that's just, they're charged to do the,
It sounds a little
do the
light.
work, isn't it?
It sounds like, how much are you paying right now to all written insurance for workman's comp? Christie will know that.
I think it was $1,200.
You just told us per year? For workman's comp? Okay. This was an RFP, I believe, right?
No,
Was there an advertisement in the newspaper for,
no. We are seeking permission to utilize payroll services. We do not know yet whether it will come under the procurement guidelines to do an RFP.
just help me out, there was an RFP of some kind of advertisement in the paper maybe a month ago?
That was for insurance.
It was for what?
Insurance.
Oh, that was for group health insurance, right?
Henry, if you would, please address the board with all of your questions at one time so that we can answer them appropriately in the essence of time. Thank you.
You know, when I do that, I only get the last one answered. It's like the related parties transaction. When he said that they've been fully disclosed, that everybody knows about the related parties, it's never been disclosed, and it's also not legal.
Keep it on the subject, Henry.
All right, I'm just saying, that when you have me put all this out, then it,
We
things get
addressed the
diluted.
related party, so move on.
If the expense on this payroll thing is minor, I don't have a problem, but it kind of falls in the same area. If you're saying we've gone out to 3 companies and we're kind of thinking about this and that, I think it'd be a great idea if you went ahead and treated it, do a little spreadsheet thing, come in here and do a presentation. Don't come in here and ask for permission to maybe go talk to somebody, then get somebody to make a motion that gives you carte blanche to do what you think is best. Do your homework, get it all laid out, bring it in here. For these reasons, we think this is the best one. That's staff recommend. Then you guys say, okay, good, let's do that. This is a minor expense. I'm not going to go crazy, but you can do the exact same process, which you haven't done, for legal services review, insurance services review, banking services, all of these things that do cost a couple of bucks. You should be doing that with all of them. Full RFP process on a renewable schedule where these things are come up and they go out and look at the marketplace and find out, is there a better way, to get your legal services than the way you're getting them? So that's my comment on this. This is a minor, but it's a good point, from an example standpoint, because it transfers to other areas. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Coleman. Any other public comment? If not, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. And we're going to move into website development report from Kristen.
Hello. Since our past meeting, I was able to attend 2 different conferences. One was an economic development marketing, and one was a small business and entrepreneur development. And those conferences have led me to seek a change order for our website. I just think there's some updates we can make that would make it more effective than what was initially RFP'd. So before you, I just need permission to seek this change order. One is to make a mobile website, which makes viewing our website from a smartphone easier for site selectors. And one's an entrepreneur button to add to our current website design.
Any questions or comments from board members? Would you like to elaborate a little bit more on why it's important to have the mobile version of the website and how it makes it more user-friendly on mobile?
So basically, our website, our new updated version is in the final completion stages. I'm just doing some cosmetic changes. However, site selectors oftentimes are using their iPads or smartphones. So when they pull up our website, currently they'll have to zoom in on their screens to choose different menu items. A mobile version for a small price, you can, when you pull it up on a smartphone, it'll recognize it, and then the menu item will pop up in a large format. It's not going to be as inundated as our current website is, but they can click on an option to view the full website. However, with the mobile version, it'll list your few menu items and will make it more easily navigated, easier to navigate.
Any other questions or concerns from board members? If not, we'll open for a motion to approve the change order request.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion from board members? Any comments from the public? Henry?
Hank Coleman, Fort Greensburg. This is an update of the existing website for the Economic Development Office. Is that right? An up or a replacement?
It will use the same URL address that we currently have, but it's a completely new look and new flowchart.
Okay, then, my observation is that, and I'm all for this, is that the board doesn't have a marketing strategy. That they don't have a plan. There's no overall game plan. Now, the website, the way things are done these days, is critical. I would hope that this website revamp would be part of a larger plan by the IDA board to market itself to prospective companies that might want to bring good jobs in here. I don't see that being part of, I don't know if the company that's doing the website, if that's what they do, if there's other things, but I've written a couple of letters to the editor on this subject about, getting professional help, going outside, trying to work with companies, website, all the stuff, where there are professionals that could help us get our opportunities out to a broader audience that extends outside of the county boundaries. I see that this website thing, may help a little bit. It might look a little fresher or updated, but until you start having a discussion with the staff on what they're going to do with this website, because remember you used to have some program where you come in and say how many hits you got last month or something on some little thing you were doing. All of that is not going to work. So I think that this website revamp thing you're doing should be part of a much bigger marketing program, so that we're not home cooking these little ideas like this incubator idea. That's it, thanks.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Did you have any other comments?
I was just going to elaborate that the company we're using for the website does primarily economic development websites. The website we have designed is for site selectors. It lists the utilities and all of the main things that site selectors look at when choosing a location. So we have taken that all into consideration, and it is part of our marketing plan.
Thank you, Kristen. Any final questions from board members?
Yes. It is the same guy, we brought 2 or 3 different ones in, this one we voted on, and we
Correct.
like.
Yes. Okay, if not, we'll open for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.